I have 7 type pages. So, I think right off the bat I'm going to say I'm going to have to abbreviate this. I'm a Virgo, and I love detail. If you are new, welcome to today's video. I'm the Hooded Lid, and today I'm doing a collaboration with the wonderful, lovely Tamara from Tamara Timeless Beauty, and I will link her video below. Just open the box, and now you get the link. If you don't know her, you should. And we're talking about beginner's makeup kit. And I think I'm going to have to do a couple more videos, like maybe one on eyes and one on base products. So let's go into it, and I will do my very best to make sure that it's not too long. If you're a beginner, it doesn't matter if you're 15 or 50, or if you were like me where you used to wear makeup and slowly started wearing less and less and finally wearing none, and when you started putting it on again, you found that your products didn't work for you anymore and your techniques were 100% wrong for you. This is the video for you. What does your beginner makeup kit look like? Your makeup bag. But before we get into that, I want to first talk about brushes. You can spend a small fortune on brushes, and you probably don't need to. For beginners, I think, for eyeshadows, you can just do with something like this. This is the Refer 01 or the Wayne Goss 18. Both of them, they're very similar, and they're very similar to the MAC 217. The MAC 217 is synthetic, and these two are both natural hair. They do lay down product differently, and they blend a little differently, but there's no reason to have one in synthetic and one in natural. The prices are pretty good. I think they might be about $25 each, and when you're just beginning, I really think you can do it all with that, honestly. For your face, use your fingers for your foundation. I'm going to recommend fingers for your blush. And the only thing you really need, to me, is a powder brush. So for powdering, this is my favorite brush. It is by Wayne Goss, and it is called the Air Brush. And I just dip into my powder. Well, we'll do this later. But to me, that's all you need. 2 brushes. One for the eyes, one for your powder, and the rest you can do with your fingers. For beginners, don't go out of your way to spend a lot of money. Base is everything, you guys. It is to me anyway. If you have beautiful skin and it's very even and you really don't need a base, you might want to just do a wash of color. A tinted sunscreen or a tinted CC cream. And some CC creams are not tinted, they're full coverage, so be careful with that. But you might not need anything at all. Maybe just a concealer and do a little boop 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 for any imperfections you may have, you know, that are everlasting, like a red mark you don't like, or a scar you don't like, or a little pimple that you might be experiencing. If you actually feel that you want to even up your skin tone, nothing makes you look younger than an even skin tone, I think. But before you buy your foundations, there's a couple of things you're going to need to know. I know it's annoying, but you have to think about what kind of coverage you want. Do you want light coverage? Do you want like medium coverage? This is what I'm wearing today. Do you want full coverage? You want to know what kind of finish you want. So this finish gets the benefit of my skincare and my very shiny sunscreen. But this is a skin-like finish. A lot of companies call their finishes different things, but they're the same thing. So think of 3 things: matte, skin-like, or glowy. And decide what works for you. I happen to like a more dewy finish because I think it's more youthful. Matte can be very good if you have a lot of texture, and the sheen that this is offering, if I had big pores or any kind of texture, it would accentuate that, and then you'd have to pile on a lot of powder, and then you're going to look cakey, so maybe best to go for something matte or semi-matte. But these are the choices you have to make before you even consider buying anything. The next thing you kind of have to understand a little bit, but hopefully you'll be able to go in store and pick up some samples. And again, I think this should be a second video, but your tone and your undertone. You could buy a foundation that is the right tone, meaning depth of tone, but the undertone is wrong, and it'll just look off. You might even look a little sickly. I know when I use something that's the wrong undertone, it can really be a disaster. But let's get into the makeup kit, and I'll do another video at another time. I'm going to give you a couple of choices. My very favorites right now are something from Dior, which I didn't pull out, the Makeup Forever Reboot, and the Givenchy Prism Libre Skin Caring Glow. Both of these to me have the very same kind of finish. I go back and forth between both of them. I feel like I'm about to be too light for this one, so I'm wearing this one today. Makeup Forever is a professional makeup brand, and they have a lot of tones and a lot of undertones, but I was very surprised that Givenchy really, I don't know if they've gotten better or what, but they have a lot of tones too. So those are a couple of high-end foundations that I like, and I think it's worth it personally to spend money on your foundation. It's just kind of everything. I really like these. If you have dry skin, I forgot to mention that. What kind of skin type you have. I have skin that's on the drier side. These are not drying. If you want something that's long wearing, you have to consider that as well. Because of my skin type and everything I put on, I don't really have a problem with my foundation disappearing, so I don't need long wearing, but that's something else you'll need to consider. Now, a couple of ideas from the drugstore is this Catrice True Skin. This is more matte and this is more full coverage, and it's not bad. And then one I tried recently is the Get Real from Flower Beauty. It's really actually not bad, and it's quite comfortable. Not a lot of shades at the drugstore. Always a problem. So you might end up spending more money than going to Sephora and buying a Givenchy or buying a Reboot, because you can actually get samples of those. Most drugstores won't give you samples or let you test your foundations to see if you're getting the right thing. So to me, another reason to go a little higher end, but those are two foundations from the drugstore that I don't mind at all. Would I ever choose them above my high end? Pretty much no. Not unless I needed a full coverage kind of matte. But this one I might from time to time, the Flower Beauty. Okay, foundation done. Powder. Not everybody needs a powder. And I think if you are older and or if you have drier skin, powder might scare you, and rightly so. Powder can go cakey really fast. You have to have the right hand with it, go in with a light touch and add, don't go too ham. And I find that powders that have color to them, if you're only spot powdering, like a little here, you'll see the difference from your foundation skin to your foundation powdered skin. So my favorite is the By Terry. It's expensive, it's $60, but this is my second one. My first one lasted more than 3 years, and I still had some powder in it. You don't need to use a lot with this, so I pick it up with my Wayne gauze and take off the excess and get in the way of the mist. Just kidding. Take off the excess, and I do a little spot powdering right here. I own a lot of powders, but this is the one I love the most. When you are less a beginner, there are things you can do with your powders, like buy a powder that's a little more pink if your foundation's a little too yellow. But for beginners, I recommend a clear powder like this. It's not going to impart any color on your face, which is so important. And while I love this one, I know of two others. Bye Bye Pores from IT Cosmetics and Makeup Forever makes one. I haven't tried either of them. I think the Makeup Forever is called HD. Haven't tried either of them. I don't know if the drugstore has something, but I highly recommend, if you're a beginner, go with something light and translucent. It will just take down your sheen a little bit, set your makeup if you need to. I don't like shine right here, and I don't like too much shine right here. This is not 100% mattifying, so right now there's a nice general sheen. Like here's my little shine, and here it's a little matted out but still skin-like. You'll see in 20 minutes or so, especially since it's 85 degrees today, that there's going to be a little bit more sheen going on. So it's not a mattifier, but I think it's the best way for beginners to start. So translucent, non-colored powder for beginners. Still on the base, let's talk about concealer. Keep in mind, there are many people who wear concealer, I think just because that's what you're supposed to do, foundation, concealer, powder. But that's not necessarily true. Some people actually don't have darkness under their eyes, and they put on concealer Anyway, I would suggest take a look at what's really going on under your eyes. Is there truly darkness that you need to cover? Or are you just doing it because there's just a little bit there? There are different kinds of concealers with different depths of coverage. For instance, Clinique has one, I think it's called the Airbrush. I have mine upstairs, but I'll put a picture in here. And it doesn't have color as much as it illuminates the area, like the YSL Touche Éclat. Don't get me wrong, there's a little coverage, but just a little coverage, and that might be all you need. But if you have some stuff going on that you really need to cover, there are three that I really, really love. Now my under eyes are looking pretty wretched when you look close up. I'm not sure what's going on. Probably it's very dry out and I'm not drinking enough water. But I am very much enjoying the Lancôme Tint Idole. This has a very skin-like finish. It doesn't have huge coverage, but pretty good. And if you need to do some spot concealing, it looks skin-like. But there are a couple that I really love. Another one from Clinique. This is the Even Better. Love this one. And this is very similar to the Kosas. So I think this is called the Revealer Concealer. The texture is very similar in both of these. It's kind of cushy. So it's got a thickness, but it's not thick and heavy, and it's not drying under your eyes. And again, if you're older, that's something you want to be careful of. And this isn't drying either. I'm just kind of going through something right now. When you're buying your concealer, consider that you don't want to be too light. If you have watched any videos on YouTube, you may have seen people go super, super light or even do triangles under here, and that's a no. It's a no if you're 15, it's a no if you're 50. And again, I could just go on and on and on, but I think I will do another video about application, and I'll break it down into eyes and base, and let me know. Give me a thumbs up and let me know below if that's something that you think might be helpful to you. There are three things I think beginners should stay away from. Once you feel more confident in your application skills, once you feel more comfortable wearing makeup, because it's a lot going from none to bunch, you know what I mean? It's like 0 to 50 in 3 seconds. Wow. It's a lot to learn, it's a lot to feel comfortable with. It takes a little while to build up your skills, to know what's right, what's working for you, and what isn't going to work for you. Highlighter, bronzer, contour. All three of these can go to Clownville in a snap. Heavy-handed, wrong colors, wrong place, and you've ruined everything else that you've worked so nicely on. Your base, for instance. Now today I am wearing all of those, but I don't think you would look at my face and say, oh yeah, I totally see bronzer and contour. And that's the goal for me, especially when you're older. You don't want to look like you're wearing bronzer and contour. You just want to look good and balanced. And that takes a little bit of learning. So I'll do another video on those another time. It'll be like, this is beginners, and that will be, you know, beginners with a little bit of confidence. Let's talk about blush. I think everybody, no matter what age you are, benefits from blush. Now, if you have rosacea or a lot of redness in your skin, it's probably something you're deathly afraid of. You're like, I just put on all this foundation to cover my rosacea. Why do I want to put it on? I get it. I do get it. Placement is everything. And I'm going to put up here or here a card of a video I did about blush placement. You will see many videos where people are telling you exactly where you need to put your blush, and if you're not putting it there, you're wrong. And I think you need to ignore those people. Where you put your blush depends on the shape of your face and what you want to accomplish. I find a blush that's kind of higher, right up here, is very youthful, and it brightens up your eyes. But you might not like it there, or it might not suit your face shape. So take a look at that video where I talk a little bit about both, and I show you 4 placements that I've never seen anybody talk about, but there's probably 4 or 12 or 20 different placements for your blush. I will do another video again about the base products and we'll talk about it. For beginners though, I think the best way to go is with a cream blush. You can get creams at the drugstore, easy peasy. Creams or liquids. And the reason is it's so easy to go overboard with blush, and that is Clownville. We always want to avoid Clownville. With a cream blush, it kind of sinks into your skin and it looks more natural. Not that powder blushes can't look natural, they can, but it's too easy to go heavy-handed. The only problem with cream blushes is they can fade, so you might have to reapply them. I don't think it's the end of the world. I have 3 that I really, really like. I want to share with you. This is the Clé de Peau in Peach, and it doesn't look that peach here, but I actually swatched it next to something else. I'll just swatch it for you now. And I thought, oh yeah, now I see the peachiness. This is my favorite right now. So on my table here, I always have a couple of things out so I don't have to think, what am I going to wear? Which is a bad thing and a good thing. This is one of the things that is out. Makeup by Mario. This is called Earthy Pink, and it is a great everyday color. So that is the Clé de Peau, and that is the Makeup by Mario. And again, with the cream, if you put on too much, you just keep on patting. It'll work itself out. With powder, it's hard to go back once you've done too much. And the other one I wanted to bring to your attention is from Rare Beauty. I love this package. It's like a little bean, and it's just gorgeous. These are the melting balms, and it doesn't really matter what color you use, because it's my experience that everything in this particular line are very natural looking. So those 3 very natural looking colors, different depths of tone and slightly different tones, but not too different. The idea is when you're just beginning, don't go crazy. I love a red blush. I can do like a vibrant blush, I can do a nudish blush, but I think again it has to do with your confidence and how creative you are when you're just beginning. Let's say you don't want to be creative. You just want to look good, you want to find something that works for you. You're going to buy one blush, one foundation, one of everything, and you're done. Then I really suggest you look for a tone that is more natural. Today I'm wearing the Clé de Peau. And that's 3 cream blushes that I think will work very easily. And again, at the drugstore, the one that I have tried is from Flower Beauty, and that's more of a liquid. Eyebrows. As you get older, you'll find that you might have gray in your eyebrows. And I also have some blonde in my eyebrows. If I get any sun at all, some of my little eyebrows just, randomly will turn blonde. And if you pluck pretty severely when you were younger, you might find that you have very, very sparse brows. I really honestly believe a fuller brow is more youthful on an older face, so you want to accentuate your brows to your best ability. So let's talk about a couple of things. This is Gimme Brow from Benefit. This is like mascara for your eyebrows. Teeny weeny wand. I find that the teeny wands will get all these little blonde hairs I have down here. It will grip onto them and give them some color, so I don't really have to fill in that much. It's a little sparse right in here, and it doesn't bother me that much, but something like Gimme Brow, it has fibers in it, so not only is it going to color your brows, but it's going to give the appearance of being a little bit more full, a little more filled in. You'll see in the footage that I put here the before and after, and it may not look as dramatic as when I tried this yesterday. I thought, oh, I have to shoot this for tomorrow. And I started with this one. The difference between this and this, just from using this, was amazing. And you guys, I tried other brands. I do not like them. You don't want to get one with a huge wand, like a mascara wand. So it is a little bit expensive. This is like a jumbo size that I think is a limited edition. Generally, this doesn't last you too long, the regular size. So if it's something you want to do, I suggest maybe getting that jumbo size that's out right now. And this will do a lot. In fact, after you do something like this, if you do have the blonde hairs, if you do have the gray hairs, if you are a little bit sparse, you might find that's all you need. But I like to fill in, not always, but I like to fill in a little bit over here. I love this pencil. This is from NYX, and I'll write the name right here because I can't see it. To me, there's no reason to buy one that's $34 or $24. This is like $9.99. They're all kind of the same. I like this one because of its shape is long, like an eyebrow hair, but you don't stamp it on. It just works for me much better than the round ones or the triangle ones, which are harder to control and will get dull over time. And you can't really sharpen those. This is my favorite one, $9.99. Add the Gimme Brow to it, and it's really going to help your brow game. And I do think beginners need to put this in their kit. I really do. If you have great, fantastic dark brows and it's grown like wildfire, then no. But if you're a mature woman who's not growing as much in your eyebrow area, it's a must. Eyeliners. I think eyeliners, again, is something that's more advanced, except if you were like me. I have this skin right here, it just shows, and I just don't like it. The truth is, in real life, it doesn't bother me all that much, but when I do pictures for my thumbnails or when I'm editing, I'm thinking, ugh, I hate that look. I can't actually recommend a liner that is 100% waterproof, that will still be there hours later. There was one from Milk, and they decided they didn't want to make it anymore for reasons I don't understand. The one I'm wearing today is from Charlotte Tilbury. It's this one, and this isn't bad, but is it staying in my waterline entirely? I don't know. I also recommend, if you're doing something like this, not to do black if you have fair skin, unless you have fair skin and dark hair. Otherwise, if you have fair skin, lighter eyes, it's better to go for a gray like this. This is called Verushka. Should probably change the name, I'm not sure. Or maybe a brown. But be careful with the browns. A lot of browns have berry undertones to them, and that can make you look a little rabbity, so gray is a safer bet. Let's talk about eyeshadow. This is another one that deserves its own video 100%. Absolutely. But I want to go over it in a very basic way. If you're 15, you might not need eyeshadow. You might be fine without eyeshadow and just put on a little bit of mascara. You're not going to need liner. Remember, we're just talking beginning makeup before you develop your skills. If you're a little bit older, you'll find that you might be experiencing some bone loss. Apparently, this area, your ocular bone, I don't know if it's called ocular bone, but I can't remember what it is called, widens. How fun! So your skin kind of falls into it. I don't want to get into the nitty-gritty, but I do find it as you get older, you're going to need a little bit more definition. Otherwise, you just look like a face with two little eyes because the skin's kind of coming in on it. And you can do that with 3 shadows. You don't need something complicated. In fact, you can do it with a one and done. But there seems to be a belief that one and dones are easy. I think to do a one and done well, it does actually take a little bit of work. You have to think about where you're putting it. And again, it depends on how old you are. If you're 15, your skin is taut and it's up and everything's groovy, you can just throw something on and probably be fine. But if you're a little older, you have to be a little more strategic about where you're putting it. So let's talk shadows. I want to present a couple of things to you, but keep in mind that the idea is you only need 3 colors. There's a lot of videos, and I've done a lot of them too, where I'm using 5 colors, 6 colors, doing a big elaborate look. But we're talking about a makeup bag for beginners. You're just starting. And really, what do you really need? You could probably get away with 2, but I'm going to suggest 3, and I will show you why. This is a BOBBI BROWN palette that I put together myself. This is expensive, and you may not want to go there when you're first starting. Maybe you want to do something a little less expensive so you can figure out what colors work for you. But I know these colors work for me. Start with something cream. What your undertone is will depend on what your undertone of your cream is. Creams come with a brown undertone, a yellow undertone, a peach undertone, almost anything imaginable, and that's something you put all over the lid. And what I'm describing to you, by the way, is the BOBBI BROWN method, which makes a lot more sense, and it's easier to do, and it's very flattering for beginners. We'll talk more about that in another video. Then you want to give yourself a little bit of a crease, and honestly, you can do it with either one of these colors, but this color is darker, this Taupe shade, and that's the color that you want to be your shadow. That's what that emphasis really is. You're pretending you have a bone structure where you don't. Again, if you have eyes like me, your eyes may vary. If you were very deep set, you probably don't want to go in with something like this. And then something like this for all over the lid, or for blending out this. I'm going to put down the names of these colors down below. I think that they're all still available. 3 colors, that's all you need. Now, I bought all of these shades for this video to just give you an idea, you guys. And by the way, I'm wearing this today to give you an idea of how you might want to go about it. Now, here's something little advanced. This is a shimmer. This is something you can pop in the middle. You can pop inside here. I think when you're just starting out, maybe you don't want to do the shimmer route. Wait for a couple of months. But this is kind of a peachy color all over the lids, and then I went in with this, which is a bit cool, to give me a little bit of definition, and then I went in with this, a satin. Let's see if you can see that shine when I move around. Satins can be wonderful tools for any age, and they're great for one and dones because they give a little movement to the lid. It'll look darker where there are indentations, it'll look lighter where it protrudes, so it's kind of doing the work for you. And for years and years and years, you guys, I wore a shade just like this, but it was from BOBBI BROWN, and that was all I wore. I did a little liner, I did this, I was out the door. So in this case, you might be able to do everything with this, but for me today, I did this, this, and this. If you have a warmer skin tone, this might be your line. And if you like a little bit of color, do pop like that. If you have a very dark skin tone, something like this won't even look like color on you, especially if you have a red undertone. That might be just what you need for at least the lid, not for giving you any depth. Hopefully you get the idea. 3 cools, 3 warms. This is a shade that you would use for liner. So like I said, I wouldn't recommend liner proper, not the pencils, not the liquids. If you're just beginning, I recommend getting a dark color, be it a gray, be it a black. Careful with black. You don't want fallout all over your face, or a brown. And get yourself, here's a brush you do need to get, something like this. Refer makes 3 sizes of this. This is the smallest. This is the 23, and the other ones, I think I'm cleaning. They're drying right now. And use something like that, and just give yourself a little definition if that's something you really, really want to do. I'm going to do it right now, even though I'm wearing a gray. So you can get the 3 colors that are just 100% right for you for a daily basis, and you're good to go. And then as you become more comfortable with color, if you do become more comfortable with color, or if you want another neutral eye that has a different undertone, you can buy 3 more and build up. And maybe you can work yourself up to palettes. As far as palettes go, Smashbox makes a trio. I've never, well, I do have a Smashbox trio, but it has shimmers and stuff in it. But it's kind of brilliant the way they created these. They're for different undertones, and you can tell. There's a cool, there's a warm, there's a very warm, and that is something that you just, it fits in the palm of your hand, and you can travel with it, and you just don't have to think. And that's a good thing too. And it's a very easy way to go because you don't have to think. And when you're beginning, sometimes it's a little too much. Maybe that's the best option for you for that. As far as mascara goes, there's a million mascaras at the drugstore. Some of them aren't so good, some of them are pretty darn good. I've only tried a couple, and I find that L'Oreal Lash Paradise is pretty good. It doesn't flake in my experience, it doesn't transfer, it will stay until you take it off, but it's not waterproof. You can get the waterproof kind, but I really recommend if you're just starting, don't get waterproof, especially if you're more mature. Taking off waterproof mascara, you can lose some of your lashes, and you don't want to do that. So I've been skipping around my 9 pages of notes, and I think we're at the end, you guys. It might seem like a lot because I talk a lot, but it's really not. This is just a full face of makeup without getting too crazy. But in the lip world, I think we're going to have to get a little crazy, because in the lip world, you can do a colored balm. You can get some at the drugstore, but I happen to love this one from Kosas. It's just an everyday, very kind of your lip color but better thing. So you have a little color on your lips. I find you can do a full face of makeup, but if you don't do anything on the lips, you don't look done. In fact, you look like you're half dressed in a way, you know? So a little bit of color on your lips, no matter what form it takes. Something like this, great. I think this is Pulse. So I just took off the color I had on my lips, and I want to talk a little bit about the lip colors that I think you might want to consider doing. Completely up to you, and these are my thoughts. When it comes to color on your lips, you need to have a lipstick, I think. I find that Bobbi Brown really excels at the more natural lip colors. She has brownie pinks, pinky browns, and she has a lot of things that are mauvey in tone. And most Caucasian women have a lot of blue in their lips. If you take a close look, you will see, hey, there's a lot of blue there. And that's where the your lips but better situation comes in. So you look finished, but you don't look different than yourself. So this is called Pink Mauve, or Mauve. I prefer Mauve. Do I prefer Mauve? I always forget. See how close this is to my color? It's just close to my color for years and years and years and years and years. I had maybe 3 lipstick colors I always wore. I did have a lot of lipsticks, not a lot, but a lot for me, because I find nothing cheers me up or brightens up my face than going and buying a lipstick. It's just instant gratification. But for what I wore colors like this all the time. I think I had one shade like this, and I had a red from Bobbi Brown, and it's been discontinued. I don't remember what it was, but it was the perfect red for me. And then I had something that was kind of peachy that I pretty much never wore. This is the thing I wore day to day to day to day to day, and I knew that it helped to make me look finished and put together, but it's not entering the room before I do. This is really comfortable, actually. I haven't put this on a really long time, but because I've done shades like this for many years, I don't really do them anymore. But if you're a beginner, I highly suggest a shade like this. Look at some Bobbi Brown stuff, because I feel that she kind of excels in those more natural shades. In fact, in case you didn't know, her brand started with lipstick. She was a professional working makeup artist, and she found that she couldn't find a lipstick that was more natural looking, so she started to make them herself in her home. And then she happened to meet a buyer for, I think, Bendel's, and they took an order and it sold out like that, and a career was born. Anyway, this is the kind of shade I think everybody should have if they're a beginner. I think nudes are incredibly hard for beginners, and I am going to be doing a nude lip video because I was afraid of nudes and picked the wrong nudes for a very, very long time before I started to pick out the right ones. And maybe it was companies were doing the right ones. I don't know. This is what I really like, you guys. But I don't do it full opacity. And this is very, very comfortable. It's a moussey matte from Armani, and it's called Dolce. I'm not even sure they make it anymore. Again, I don't recommend that people who are new to makeup explore with nudes. They can be very frustrating, and it's so easy to get the wrong tone. But if I were going to do a nude, this would be it. And I also think everybody should have a bright color that makes them happy. Now, I love a bright lip, and I don't have perfect, big, full, amazing lips. It's not about perfection, it's about what makes you happy. And I do think everybody needs a bright lip, whether it's an orange, whether it's a red, I love them both, whether it's a vibrant pink, it doesn't matter. Find a color that works for you. I happen to have pulled this out, so let's just give this a try. So I think actually this red goes just fine with this shirt, which is a little more orangey. It makes me happy. Again, you don't have to do matte, you don't have to do a liquid matte, you could do a red lipstick, but I think every beginner needs to have something bright. So again, a gloss or a balm, a lipstick in a mauvey kind of natural, your lips but better area, and something bright that just works for you. You can wear it to evening, you can wear it to work. I love to do a big red lip and hardly anything else on my eyes. I like that juxtaposition. I think it's very chic. And that is it, you guys. I hope I didn't talk too much in detail. I know there are people who just say, buy this, buy this, buy this, buy this, and just put it in a bag and call it done. But I wanted to give you reasons why I like these ideas and why I think they're good for beginners, and where you can move on to once you become comfortable. And I also understand that just because you're a beginner now doesn't mean you're going to be exploring big eye looks and different blush colors. You just want to look your best. You're just starting with makeup and you kind of want to find something that works and stick with it. I understand that. Not everybody is the same. I personally love to play with makeup. It's like putting on clothes. It's just being a different person or emphasizing a different side of myself, a different facet of myself. But not everybody's like that, and I get that. So these are my ideas for a beginner starting kit for 15 to 50-year-olds. But I don't mean to say after 50, no. It's just 15 to 50 sounds good. 15 to 80, I don't care. All right, you guys, thank you so much for spending some time with me. I do hope it was helpful to you, and I hope you come back again. Please go to Tamara's channel, tell her I said hello, I sent you, and until we meet again, be smart and safe. I'm wishing you good luck.